It's coming out. We're going to turn straight into Mikan, or I think it's Macon or something in 1.1. Charge through this wall, and we got a cute little death abuse here, and we don't get many of those in this category. For Billy. It was not Billy's idea for this. It saves a little bit of time. It's not the end of the world, but it's nice to get a refresh on Sparks. That being said, I'm a little bit afraid of failing this, so I usually try to get Sparks up as high as possible. When I come out and respawn, I'm going to be down 1 from like 110% Sparks. You know, this is special beam. This is the extra Sparks hit. Now, to do this, I like to set it up from here. You can also bonk on this. Some people like to flame from afar. I usually just try to straight through into it, and it usually doesn't happen. But best way to set this up, I like to go and land right about here, kind of slide in. Square down, and so you can see there was a seam somewhere right around here. Yep. So it's somewhere around this little dip is where I like to land. Jump, hold forward. Don't do that. Jump, hold forward. Go into down left, and then charge. So I usually do it in one fluid motion. Just like so. Sometimes you will miss the hitbox, or the grab box. Sometimes you'll do that. You lose a little bit of time attempting it. It's not the end of the world. Jump back in, get one over there. You also don't need to do this. You can just grab the egg. Sometimes you'll just normal charge jump into this, and then you have to awkwardly like figure out, oh, am I attempting this again? Or am I just getting the egg like a normal individual? So you can also turn a little bit. So holding forward to go a little bit forward. You can see I even readjust and go forward with it as well. That's one thing I didn't really bring up. I'm not sure if I did that when it was shown. You'll maybe need to play around with the hitbox to get like a good feel for where it is and like what works. Like how far left is it? That sort of deal. Afterwards, respawn, or if you respawn, you just go right here. Go out of the whirlwind. Go straight through. Sparks look at everything. I like to enter Agent 9 with full max Sparks. So I will usually try to get this guy unless he's too far out of my way. I could have made that work, but it's not the end of the world. So if you have to backtrack to a prior level using the Atlas Warp because you missed a gem, the best way to handle that is around Agent 9. So what you're going to do is you're going to come on over here, get these bridge gems, and note that you're going to be up a number of gems here. In total, it's going to be 17. And then go in, and then at the end of Agent 9's lab, instead of warping back to Midnight Mountain, you'll warp to your levels, and then when you're done with all your backtracking, warp back to Midnight Mountain. You'll come out the rocket, and you'll come back through and start into Crystal's segment, kind of like normal, picking up from right about here. It's about even if you kind of do something like this. I personally found if you were to do it that way, you would come out of the rocket, and you'd come up here, and you'd have to turn around, and turning around up this is a little bit awkward. So first off, we gotta break all these targets, and to do that, I'm gonna hold up here and just start firing. I accidentally shot the professor. I'm sorry, Professor. These two are, in my opinion, the trickiest because the professor's gonna teleport right here. So I like to try to get them out of the way, and then I can, as I'm walking forward, jump and shoot at these ones. Because I'm gonna be going this direction. Turning kind of, I feel, it slows me down. And again, with the professor in your way, this one especially can be hard. So I do my best to kind of shoot too. You can see I do a very slight turn to the right after shooting that one. This is a lot of like reacting to just what you get. There is no, I'm going to hit all of these targets and I'm just going to have like these two left or something like that. It's a lot of like just on the spot. Okay, I hit that one, I hit that one, I didn't hit that one. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? So you can see this one specifically I do want to call out. You can see the Rhinoc hiding behind it. So what I do is I make sure to fire 2. They can be 2 in a row. I think that's usually fine, or if not. And then you can see I react to whatever is kind of left. Oftentimes there's one remaining. I will jump down and turn and aim my camera towards it and fire as I land. It's usually this one. Every now and then it might be like this one. If there's nothing, I want to shoot at this basket. I sometimes try to get these 2 baskets, or at least one of them, but it's not the end of the world. They're a little bit more out of the way. So this one might be more your speed. You got this big stick in the way. It's not ideal. You land, immediately look up. This is going to be a pop quiz at the end. How many balloons are in this level? Do you know offhand? If you do, you still need to watch this anyways. I don't give a shit. Fire this balloon. Do not forget that. If you respawn and you didn't get the gem, you have to get the balloons again. Keep that in mind. Very important. I'm going to shoot that. You can shoot these from afar. You can shoot these as you're strafe pumping. You can even shoot these and walk towards them and then strafe pump. There's a lot of just feeling out, finding what works best for you with strafe pumping in Agent 9, especially in this level. So I like to free up gems and kind of breeze by them. I find this one to be a little bit too awkward for that. There's going to be the bird room where I do a lot of that more. But I like to get close. I have sparks as extra here because sometimes I will shoot into the water just a little bit too fast. Again, I'm just trying to get over there. In general, you do want to make sure you have controlled Agent 9 zigzag. You don't want to be too wild and crazy with it. We're going to come over here. Obviously, let sparks do some heavy lifting here. Ideally, one is broken, and you just have to get the other. Now, of note, this 10 gem we're going to leave. If you're doing back to front, I would just recommend leaving this 10 gem, period. Even if you're not doing back to front. This 10 gem, this 2 gem, and this basket. Ideally, we shoot this basket from far back, or from when we drop down, you know, before we even start strafe bumping. Come on through. And again, it's a lot of just reacting to what you get. So if we see this back, at not pitifully slow mode, I'll just watch from here. I'm like, okay, I need to sweep this side. The left side's good, right side. Alright, now I'm ending there. Good. Get this balloon. It'll be quizzed. Making sure my, you know, diagonally walking to start my zigzag. Now this can go many different ways. I'm going to move a little bit over, and then I'm going to try and aim for this red button. If I can shoot this button early, which I don't think I do in this clip, but let's find out. You see all 3 guys come out, I don't shoot it early. You can shoot this red button early and close this door before everybody's out. It's like getting, you know, a little bit ambitious and zipping up too fast after you're done. You get something caught in there. They'll die and they won't respawn. Obviously, if you kill any of these guys and you still have the button not broken, they can respawn and they'll respawn infinitely. This should maybe be apparent. It's going to be the same for the second door here. So the idea is close the door ASAP while shooting, you know, these guys as you go. So you can see I get him. There's a little bit of a delay after one dies. And obviously these guys have 2 hits. They can shoot each other and break each other's shields or even kill themselves. Kill each other. It's a lot of react to what you get. I'm not really going to strafe pump until after. Get a little bit, and then I need to stop, and then I'm going to try to get a little bit more. I often find this one to be a little bit more difficult. I don't get a ton of momentum carried into here. There's 4 guys here. Same sort of deal. I'm prioritizing getting this button, shooting them along the way. I can drop all of their shields, get the button, and then kill them. And, you know, I'm not going to have to worry about them respawning. Also, do be careful not to end up in monkey jail. If you zigzag strafe pump too fast, you can actually get into this doorway and you'll get locked behind there. And I think you have to leave and come back in. It's called monkey jail. It's where the cool kids go. That's another reason why it's kind of nice to kind of get the nice little controlled run up. You can get in trouble with Agent 9 strafe pumping. That's the moral of the story. And again, you can kind of off-screen these guys so they don't shoot you if you're worried about getting damaged. I get weirdly proxied there. Not the end of the world, but I wanted to stand far away. And then I let Sparks get this 10 gem basket and hope he picks it up as I clean it up. Occasionally I might shoot it. It's whatever. One more. After the last guy dies, there's a little bit of a timer you can set up for, look, a balloon. What are you supposed to do with balloons? Make sure you don't forget them. Shooting these baskets on the way in, these far ones are not important. These ones are. Now, I take this wide because actually for some reason the hitbox for the professor is like kind of there, even though he's not going to be there. So you can shoot directly at them and you'll hit the hitbox of the professor. So if you go wide, you can hit both of these. Not the end of the world if you don't get these either. Right before you teleport up, I like to walk in and try to get both. Just, it's not really necessary. Now for this, there's two different ways you can do this. You do it like this, where you zoom in. And I like to zoom out, so you notice I'm zoomed out. And what this allows me to do is actually see when these guys spawn. So right when the second guy, and one thing to note about this, you can be too quick on your turn. These guys will be consistent if you keep your camera consistently placed. So this pattern that I get is what I'm supposed to get every single time, assuming I'm doing this zoom in method. There's another way where you don't zoom in. But what's nice about this is you zoom out and you can see when they spawn. You do need to keep in mind you can be too quick with turning. You can get away with it with the first couple. So as soon as I see the second guy spawn, I can turn and shoot. And as soon as I see the third guy spawn, you can see him even down there. I can turn and shoot. So these first three are pretty nice like that. Oh my goodness. Why is that so loud? After this, you do need to wait. Luckily, you don't see this guy as early, so it's not going to be as big of a deal. But you do want to make sure you wait just a little bit. Not much for this guy. It's more so important for this guy and the last guy. Now, after you hit that fifth guy, he's going to be obviously right over here. You can go down, shoot this basket, go down, shoot this basket. And that is actually perfect timing to bring it back up and move all the way left to get that sixth guy. So it's not important at all to get these baskets here. You get them in 0 time anyways, but you have your options. So keep that in mind. You can also wait for this guy to despawn before you turn. That is another cue. We don't see this as much because these first 3 are free.
I got all 4 baskets.
And then you can see this guy spawns before this guy respawns. So it gradually, you have to wait a little bit longer as it goes on.
That's baller.
See, just like that. And you're good. And you can see him just spawn right there. Now, if you're too early with any of this, they'll be in different spots. Alternatively, you can just turn like this. You do kind of need to get used to where they're going to spawn. Obviously, I'm turning a little bit too early, so I'm messing where they're going. But you just turn in their general direction. Ideally, you aren't doing what I'm doing. You turn when they spawn. You just do quick flicks. So something a little bit cleaner would look like this. And you wait, you go. They will shoot at you if you take too long. I should mention that. But ideally, this is kind of the quick turns that you get. You use the aim assist to its full extent. And you see somewhere mixed in there, I did miss a couple shots. So that's kind of one of the dangers there, but you might prefer that. Play around with both. See what you like. So after that, you can see I am going to immediately go into a strafe pump, a bit of a one. So I've got my up and my left here. I'm going to collect these anyways, because my strafe pump start goes that way. And then I'm going to do my best to not go crazy, and I'm going to land and pick these up. Sparks can also break these baskets too. It's not too big of an issue. You don't need to wait too much here. If you want a gem count, you can see one right here, 24. We do a spin jump. Spin jump's done like any other normal spin jump. 180 turn. Switch there. If not, you can go around the stairs. I like to land and go diagonal here to get my strafe pump. It's going to be a tricky hallway to get it. You can see I go right back and forth. Otherwise, just walk this. Birds are kind of tricky. First thing first, you can just literally walk forward past the professor, press triangle, shoot, and aim at all of these. Or, what you kind of saw me do is I'm going to jump over the professor. It's important to note that I'm not going to be moving very much forward, if at all. You can see there's a little bit of a forward input to help aim. I'm going to shoot. If I didn't jump, I'd hit the professor, obviously. And if I'm too far forward, sometimes the auto aim gets a little bit screwy. And then from there, I'm going to, again, react to what I get and where I end up aiming, trying to shoot these guys. You can shoot this bird right through here. Obviously, he's coming at me. So when they do glide at you, you do want to be a little bit more careful to be lined up with them, because they'll hit you, knock you back, waste your time. Do I have? I do. So there's kind of an example as well. You can do this all from right here, and you can even shoot this guy right there. If you're too far forward, you can actually sometimes just end up missing. If you want to see what this looks like. Now note, with these, you do want to hit up into the upper part. There's not much hitbox from here to work with. You do really need to aim where you actually see the bird. Walking forward, and sometimes you miss like that, so just be ready for anything. After that, I'm gonna try and shoot at this basket before I teleport. It's a very quick teleport, and even sometimes I'll turn right and try to shoot one of these two baskets over here. Usually this one. I might be a little bit too far forward. Another thing is I'm walking forward to get these as well.
Yo, Aiden. It's up 2:30. There we go. Nice Warlock.
Do you know a Beulah? I do not. Anyway, after the Beulah egg, you're gonna have birds part 2. This one is Bird Boogaloo. It's even harder. I am going to turn right, and it's gonna eventually go this direction. You're gonna get as far as you can before the cutscene. Skip the cutscene, of course, and then we're gonna press triangle. I like to zoom out. You don't necessarily need to, but in general, we're gonna be trying to shoot as many birds as they spawn as possible. So here's what that looks like. You can see I'm aiming somewhere in the realm of this diagonal. There are a few different ways you can handle this. I like to shoot just in here, and oftentimes these birds cross back over and will get shot at anyways.
What are these birds?
I was doing very well, that's why I sound very funny. And then from there, I like to shoot any around the sky here. Come down here and clear out mainly these 3 first. You might also see some flying around here. This bird, if there's a bird here, you can actually shoot it from underneath, which is what I'm doing. I'm just shooting to make sure. I think there's another bird there. There's apparently not. Be careful with this bird. You can't shoot anything right here. It'll bounce off, so you have to shoot a little bit right. It's a fairly generous hitbox here. And here, I like to take a pot shot, usually at this basket, before I teleport, if I can get it. Maybe sometimes you can get 2 off. Another thing that you might find beneficial is to not just hold circle. You can manually time, like so, as they come out, and that will be better in general. Again, I'm aiming for the right side of this diamond. I'm a little slow. It's been a while since I've necessarily done this method, but yeah, again, just tagging all the birds as I can. See one going down. There's that one from underneath. Again, you can get this one pretty far right when it's down, it looks like. Shooting. It does seem like they have 2 different spawn speeds, so you like kind of need to change up your rhythm later on in the spawn. But really, it's just reacting to what you get. Try to note where they're going to be going into. The earlier ones that you clear, they're more likely, if they're still in the air, to go to those ones because they'll sense that they're open earlier. And then we'll finish the last 2 always with these ones. just because that's so far away from every other nest in here. You know, like I said, they're gonna fill empty nests, so if you're localized to these ones that you can see very easily, it's gonna be a lot better than just going back and forth, of course. From here, lab's clear. We're gonna do kind of counterclockwise motion. First things first is I do like to free up both of these gems. So in this case, I did already have one of them free. You can see right there. Turn, fix my camera, strafe pump through, and I will also like to free these two up so that I can just get some zip movement going through. This 5 gem is that basket. It's important to me specifically. This is the most important basket in my opinion. I like to take my speed as much as I can, my momentum through here, just like so. You can also do it slower. Slower. So you start over here. Now obviously you can always walk this stuff too. I like to walk into here to get these free, as you saw before. Sometimes you have too much speed and you just need to kill it by going in circles, whatnot. From here, you have a couple different options. This is an awkward little arch to get through. I do like to take as much into here as possible. It's very easy to accidentally talk to the professor. One thing that might actually help you, something I've experimented with but I don't particularly prefer, is just shooting off and getting those 2 gems early before you get these. Otherwise I'm going to get this first and get those. I'm going to kind of zip around later, you'll see. So again, you might find movement more suitable to what you want to do as you play with this. So you don't have to necessarily stick to what I'm doing. You know, in general, if you can make use of momentum carrying you to a specific side, that might be better than what I'm currently doing. So I get the bombs. They were made in a bomb factory. Jump down, I walk a little bit, and I throw. That's my timing. I sometimes don't even walk. I just jump down or walk down. You can walk off and walk slightly, throw, jump and throw. You can also just aim. Obviously this is going to be walk down, jump, throw. Now, here we go. 1, 2. You don't have to get these other 2 balloons right now. Now it's good because these are the last 4 balloons in the level. How many balloons are there total? Did you take note? You better. But you can turn and get these, and what this is going to allow us to do is carry some momentum from strafe pumping over here into over here. It just saves a little bit of time. As well, you're kind of already, you know, you zooming in, you kind of have to come to like a total stop. So it gets to be a little bit jarring doing that. And if you have to come back around here, do that again. You also need to remember that you have balloons here, but so we'll get those. And then we're gonna walk this path. You could also technically go counterclockwise here. We technically clear this clockwise normally. You can also go counterclockwise and shoot these. Come on over. You can even crisscross. You get those. Come over here, throw this. Maybe clean that up. Zip over here. Again, find what you prefer to do. This is what I prefer to do. I do zoom out for this. One tip I have to offer is from this balloon, wherever you shoot him, it's not too far from where you're going to shoot for this balloon. It's a little bit of a difference, but it's kind of a good, so you go right to left there. You don't need to shoot any of those baskets. And then the timing for this is right about here where these shells are. You can do a jump. I've actually taken to jumping a little bit further back. So right as I kind of cross into this one is when I'll have to start my jump throw. You can also do between. You'll notice with this one, with how late I am, I actually break the pineapple tree. That's fine. When you do it further back, you won't break the pineapple tree. You'll get your own feel. You don't even necessarily need to jump. You can do, just a walk throw as well. I'm gonna start my strafe pump before I even got all of these, and I'm gonna get just a little bit. I didn't get that much. Come on over here. This is Call of Duty. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. So let's do half speed. Zoom in. My tip is aim for where they're going to be. Remember, this is not true Call of Duty. We don't have hit scan. There's some bullet travel. So you can see I am aiming right here, because that's where he's going to be. Obviously, that's how things work. This guy goes this way, and I typically sweep left to right. You could also theoretically do right to left. Find what works for you. You'll get used to how these guys move. That was not bad. Let's see that again at full speed. See, I missed a couple shots. I usually miss a good few. Now notice where I'm standing.
Agent 10.
I actually didn't get it. So one thing, if you're not familiar with this category, you can actually get a message that says you already have this egg when you get this Tony egg. If you're standing, so I was a little bit actually too far forward, but if you're standing where this grab radius would be for this egg anyways, when the cutscene starts to play, you'll trigger the egg, and you'll technically get the egg early, quote unquote, but there's no benefit to it because you still have to sit through watching it hatch immediately after. So if you're worried like, oh, did I dupe? Is this glitch? Yeah, it's not a dupe, it's weird, but that's all. So call it Tony dupe if you want, it's funny. Strafe pump into these. You can also shoot these from afar and then just zigzag in. And then what I like to do is after I get those, you kind of saw, I like to strafe pump and take my momentum to get these, and ideally I'm comfortably swinging out. I kind of got that. Into here. Now, if you're walking up to this strong chest, a good visual cue. Did I already get this? Yes. Good visual cue. I liked is a bit beyond this red shell. It's kind of as Sparks likes to go for once he goes for the red gem, is when you throw. So what you're going to do here depends a little bit more on how you're going to finish the level. If you're going to do back to front, I recommend restocking right now. So I go and I get extra right here. And then I clear this. I'm not married to any specific strategy here. Sometimes I walk more left and get the gems, and then I get these middle gems on the way back. Just play this through. Now getting a feel for where these guys are takes a little bit of time, but I can break it down kind of slowly. So if you are not planning on doing back to front, and you didn't just throw a bunch during the cutscene before the Tony egg, I should have mentioned that. If you're not going to do back to front, you probably don't want to throw all those. If you're not comfortable with throwing bombs, you might want to restock on bombs, but theoretically, you would have, what, 8 bombs here at this point if you didn't waste your bombs. 8 would be comfortable enough because you're killing 6 enemies, and a strong chest is 7. Doesn't hurt to restock if you're not comfortable. If you're not doing back to front as well, you would ideally do one side first here. Maybe you clear the left side first and then come back, clear the right, and then get the power up. As well, I should mention it's also not too big of a deal if you leave gems behind on the main path, coming forward, since you're going to be going backwards anyways. Just make sure you remember which ones you left. Let's walk this through just a little bit. I shoot that as I'm coming down, it's not necessary. Free those gems. So about where I go to get this 5 gem is a little bit before that. You can jump and throw, and you will get this middle guy. You gotta wait a little bit for that. And similarly, right before I'm getting this 5 gem, there is kind of a line here. You can see. It's gonna be probably pretty hard to see when you're actually playing. You can throw. You can also bait out their attacks and throw. I'll show you that after. And then this one I get from pretty far back. Their hitboxes are pretty generous, but they're also easy to just miss and panic a little bit with them. So this is one thing where I don't have anything super set on, like, this is a visual cue I use for this, for when I throw. It's more of like, I know about how far I'm going to throw when I jump and toss a bomb. And I can kind of figure out from there. So if I'm aiming at those shells, you know, that would have hit. But maybe I need to go back a little bit further. And so that kind of gives you, obviously it's a little bit hard to show just how far away that is. Gives you an idea. And again, I could also just clear out this side. I don't do a whole lot of strafe pumping here. As I'm getting this 5 gem, I do like that. And you can make it work from this side as well. Worst case scenario, like I said, you can... When you first approach, they're going to take a little bit to aggro to you first. So you do have time to set up as you walk towards them. Otherwise, you can bait out an attack and throw. You still... So you didn't even shoot. I took a little bit. You have time for that. From here, not far into the arch at all. You know, I'm like, what, a good monkey and a half away. I like to throw. As you're waiting for this barrier to drop, you can also line up. I think I do that a little bit. Or you can also anticipate the barrier dropping and jump throw as well. Similar adjustments for all 3 of these guys. You don't really need to vary things too much from here. You can get from just outside this arch. Again, if you're not comfortable with that, use the same techniques I taught before, which is surprise attack, bait out an attack. Sometimes you might just need to YOLO kind of throw if you've got 2. Bait out the attack, aim and throw. Obviously it turns green when you know you're going to hit them. You obviously can't hit these guys from too far, but you do have some space. Like, I don't think I can hit him from here, but if I were more left, I might be able to. I don't know what would happen there. Let's find out. Okay. So. So I like to get that guy. You can see I timed it with the barrier dropping. For the strong chest, I like to just be outside of the grab range here. You can see I'm walking towards the line that's like just before where these 2 white shells are, throwing. And if you're doing back to front, you have 2 options. I guess if you're not doing back to front, you still have 2 options. I like to clean this side and leave these 2 chests, baskets. Some people like to break the strong chest and then clear these 2 baskets, and that's perfectly fine. It's going to just determine, 1, how you exit, or 2, how you do back to front. So, either way, you can break everything in your way and just have straight gems to collect here. If you are not doing back to front, you will simply clean up whatever side you left. It could be something like this, or you know, it would be something like this. Your last 10 gem would be like right here, and go there, pick up the bombs if you need them, and walk to the front. You're gonna break the strong chest. Otherwise, you have 2 options if you want to try to do skips. One of them is bomb jumping. So if you're at full like max sparks, you can technically do bomb throw jumps. I don't really see anybody do this, and I don't know. It's something to think about. It's very easy to kind of mess this up. You can technically get away with not getting a double jump once. Ideally, what we're gonna do is just get to this island, walk off, throw. Hope you get a double jump. You got one there. So I missed him. And let's try this again. There we go. I don't know if that was it. That was. That was. That was. And that was. So you can make it. Oops. Otherwise, you're going to do back to front. Again, I'm going to reference Nitroff's nice back to front tutorial where he goes over zigzag, strafe pump mechanics, as well as, you know, how you can kind of handle it. But I will go over kind of this side. It won't be as in-depth as him, but I do recommend going and watching his video. So I'm going to free this if I haven't already freed it. In this case, I didn't. And right before I'm getting this, I'm starting my strafe pump. So holding up left. So with this method, I find it a little bit easier to get the fastest back to front, but I do find that it's more risky and more likely for me to end up in the portal if you're not careful. So do be very careful with that. You might prefer to go the counterclockwise start. And this is the clockwise start. So I'm going to go up left. Oop, I did up left, right? Apparently I'm just going even more YOLO. The reason I say to go up left first is the initial turning helps prevent you from turning into the portal. In this case, I must have deemed that I was looking left enough, or I just didn't care. You can see I start upright to get my strafe pump. Oh no, there's my up left. I'm just going early. So there we go. Starting. And as Nitroff will point out, what we want is to kind of do something like this. We don't really want to try to ramp off of things. And when I say ramp off of things, I mean these. It's very possible to just kind of ramp off of them. Ideally, we want to kind of go through this little gap between the professor and one of those, the right side ramps. If you land on this, you can jump again. Your momentum will carry. And you'll end up right about here. To finish with, a little bit before entering here, you can do a jump throw and pick everything up right here. Atlas and warp. And keep in mind, if you are doing a backtrack for a missed gem, you would then do it here. After you've backtracked all of your gems, you would then warp back to Midnight Mountain and you'll respawn or come out at the rocket ship. And again, obviously, if you're coming from this side, your visual cue kind of be about the same right before you enter. You could even probably do it slightly more into the cave entrance because you've got a longer line from this side. So let's go back and watch this again. We're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I go 9 there. 8 is usually good enough. And is usually what I shoot for. I might have miscounted and put 1 early that wasn't, and that was just me adjusting. That's also possible, but it looks like it was 9. Or I just miscounted. So something like that is perfectly acceptable. You can also get one slightly faster. Going through here. And ideally you don't hit the pineapple tree. You kind of slide through, you land here, chuck it. If you're not comfortable with anything, just, aim, of course. Now, I prefer this method. Again, make sure you're not holding for too long, because then you'll start going in crazy directions. This does take some feeling out. It's not a trick you're going to get right off the bat. And you can see I was going towards the portal, but I'm comfortable enough to be able to react if I am going towards the portal, like so. Now, alternatively, of note, going into the cave before you get that 10 gem. This one. You'll go 84 into 94 once you pick up that 10 gem. If you're going the other way, you're still gonna, it's the same sort of philosophy. 8, but then you have to turn from up left into up right. As opposed to this, which is mainly just staying upright the entire time. I think, switch to up once I get enough momentum. Sometimes. It might depend on the approaching angle. But ideally I want to just shoot right between this, just like so. So let's go back and watch this one more time here. Because I would like to point out switching of my directions. So here's the start. You can see I switched to up here once I've gotten like enough speed. because what I want to do is just carry it straight through, ideally, because I know I'm going this direction. I do switch back, and then I make adjustments based on what I'm getting. Again, Agent 9 is literally play with what you get. If you think you can round this and take the quickest way, go for it. Do be careful. It's very easy to hit this wall and lose your momentum. Now, another reason why I like to have max sparks, or as high sparks as I can, is if I do screw up back to front, I can save it by jumping in the water. You know, like this is a great example right here. I can just throw a couple, try for double jumps if I need them. If I have, you know, bombs to spare, or if I don't feel like I have sparks to spare. And eventually you can just make it here. You can walk this over, you can slightly zigzag it. You know, it's a little jank, but it gets the job done. You can zigzag off of this platform too. Of note, as you are approaching here, there is a fodder along your path right here. He'll usually be more right here as you push him. He's kind of hard to hit, but if you need to top up in preparation for back to front, Bob's your uncle. And again, that's another danger that could happen, is you could go in the wrong direction. But ideally, kind of once you start to go backwards, switch in and you go. Again, Nitroff's video I very much so highly recommend. He goes over mechanics on why this happens as it happens, and what you can kind of do and what to expect. As he says, if you're going to do back to front, don't just YOLO it. Kind of go in with a plan, an expectation of how things should go. Otherwise you will end up in the portal. This is one of the most punishing things you could do, is end up in this portal. You have to go through the entire level, or you could do front to back, and you could pop over here. I technically show a front to back method in the next video, but a couple different ways you could do. You could also just like shoot yourself up here and hope you get enough height. But otherwise you have to go through like the entire normal portion of the level. If you were to land in here, then like you'd have to go backwards, and because you can't get through the zip-zappy fences that would be active if you had to return into the level. Yeah, be careful.